Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. Hey everyone, this week I've got my best friend Maylin Thompson on the show. Forced, definitely not volunteered. Maylin's a new competitor, but is not new to owning firearms. She's been carrying concealed, is married to a Marine, and her brother's also a Marine. So she's very familiar with all of that. So welcome, Maylin. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I miss you, first of all.
No, you're so far away.
I'm excited though. We're signing up. This episode will be out way before then for the Endless Summer Blast at Dothan Gun Club, which was one of your first competitions.
Yeah, the second one, I think.
Yep. So we're gonna repeat that. Squad up the pickle squad.
Yes.
So bad. But we're going to be talking about that on the show, like her first experience in a competition and all of that. So we'll get into that, and it's gonna be a lot of fun because we've had experiences.
Yeah, quite a few actually.
Yep, and all different weather conditions. So as usual, when you travel with Kenzie, you get rain.
Always rain. That's a given.
It's great. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I want to kick off the show talking about concealed carry first. So do you remember like what made you want to carry concealed when you were first getting started?
Well, it wasn't really me. It was more my boyfriend, who's now my husband. He wasn't around, and so he really wanted me to be able to protect myself. And I wasn't against it. I wasn't really for it, but I just said, sure, why not? That sounds fun. And so that's where we are.
Awesome. And does your family carry as well?
My dad does, and then my husband does, and my brother's not quite old enough yet, but I'm sure he will.
So your dad was pretty happy when he found out that Gabe was making you do it ish.
Yeah. We actually got our permits together. We went to the same class. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. We're going to talk about that too. So really you were forced. Maybe later on, did something change where it made you actually want to carry, later on?
I think once I got comfortable with the idea of carrying, for one, because it wasn't that I didn't grow up with guns being an okay thing, but it was just not a common thing. And so it was like I had to kind of get comfortable with just the idea of it in general. And then once I had that, it was like, oh, okay, maybe this is a good idea.
Yeah. And has it gone off on you without you touching it?
No, it's not done that.
Exactly. Has it scared you anymore? No.
Not at all. It's been 7 years, 8 years almost.
Isn't that weird? So I actually just did my fingerprints for Florida permit to be able to renew my permit because they issue non-residence permit. And I was like, has it been 7 years since I've been
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
it's almost time to redo mine. I'm not ready.
Yep, you're there too. Did you learn something about concealed carry that maybe like surprised you? And what I mean by that is, how you got comfortable with it, or how it wasn't even like a thought in your mind about whether it's a big deal or not, or did anything surprise you through that?
Yeah, once it actually becomes one of those things that now I feel weird if I don't have it with me. It's like you forget your phone. It's like, oh wait, I gotta go back in the house. Hold on. I definitely didn't think that would happen because it's kind of got that thing around it where it's like, oh, it's a gun. Oh my gosh, like you've got this on you, and once you get used to it, you get comfortable with it. It's just like having your phone or your keys. Like you just have to have it with you.
100%. And did I give you your first pocket knife, or did you have one before?
I had ones that were like hand-me-down ones. Like they weren't like brand new, like here's a
Rude.
It was just like, I got a new one. Here, you want my old one? So
Well, I mean, and that's just it could be a weapon too, right? It's just as dangerous as a gun could be. So yeah, once you get used to having tools on you, like you said, it just becomes normal, which is important.
for sure.
So tell me something maybe that you wish everyone knew about concealed carry. Like for new people out there, maybe people considering getting their permit, what would you tell them?
Um, it's not as difficult as you'd think it would be, as long as you have a good instructor. Um, and so I think that's just as long as you go in it with a little bit of knowledge ahead of time, you'll be fine.
Awesome. Okay, tell me about your permit class and your and I want the full details. Like what was going through your mind? What did you think? All of
Oh,
that.
okay, so and my dad and I went together. We went to a class at one of the gun shows here. There was 100+ people probably. A guy got up front, spoke for a little while. Kind of don't remember anything he said. And then they were like, all right, congrats, go get fingerprinted. We got fingerprinted. We went around back, and then we got in a trailer and we took turns shooting it was a 22 revolver one time into like a little bucket. And then we walked out with our certificate, and that was it. And I was like, okay, cool. So once I'd actually got, the firearm that I carry now, it sat in its case locked under my bed for 6 months because I was like, nope, we're not doing that. So yeah, you want a good instructor because that was not a helpful thing for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. If you know what you're doing and you just want to, have that step taken, I could see maybe that'd be one thing, but
Yeah.
you got it.
And we talk a lot on earlier episodes on the podcast about how it doesn't matter how much you can always learn more. So, classes are a good thing. Education is amazing. And how did you feel knowing that, 100 and whatever other people just did the same thing and maybe they knew absolutely oblivion?
A little frightening, actually. And there's actually a lady that was behind me, and she said, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but my son wants me to do this, and so I'm gonna give it a try, but I've never shot a gun before. And I was like, oh, okay, this is great.
Jesus. And then it's a revolver nonetheless too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, most people don't carry revolvers these days. It's good to know, but And then did they even like let you open the loading port or the chain, or if it was a cylinder or anything like that to learn?
No, I walked in, there was a guy there, he handed it to me. He's like, it's loaded, it's ready, shoot your shot. And then he was like, all right, you did a good job, you can leave now. And I was like, okay.
Jesus Christ. My gosh. So I wanted Maylin shows because I knew kind of the history, right? But that is insane. So when you see people around, whether in some states there's open carry, some are concealed, and you can kind of see the print of a gun or whatever, knowing what you know now about that class, do you really think that those people like practice or train or maybe know as much as you think they would?
No, and that's a little worrisome.
Yeah.
A lot worrisome, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And that instructor, the certificate, I mean, is tied to his name or her name or whoever the instructor was, right? So if any of you commit a nice little crime with the firearm, guess who they're coming to? That guy.
Not a good idea.
No, not at all. Oh my goodness. So yeah, you were talking about instructors. So what made you pick up that gun in like 6 months or so?
It was this is going to sound strange. It was a little bit of guilt because it was like, okay, we spent all this money to get this, and we did, all of these things, and I've got my permit. I just need to suck it up and do it. And so I started carrying, it was a process. I started carrying it unloaded, actually, just so that I could get used to having it with me.
When you say unloaded, you just mean what, not in the chamber, but magazine?
No, nothing at all.
Oh God. Okay.
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 But I was like, I didn't know, and it was at the time I didn't really have anybody to teach me or to show me or just to be okay with it, comfortable with it. So I was like, all right, we'd gone to the range. I had used it. I just hadn't carried it. And so I was like, okay, so I did that for a week. It only took me a week. And then I put rounds in the magazine, carried it that way.
And one in chamber, or were you there yet?
That took a little bit longer.
Okay.
Yes. So that was probably another month or so. And I was like, okay, now we can do it this way. So it was just, a process of just mind over matter, essentially.
Yeah. Did you ever take a class later or find someone to learn from? besides me maybe, or was that the first point?
That, I mean, you honestly, and it wasn't really like this intentional, I'm going to go find somebody else to show me how to do this better. I think I came up to, I don't know, a couple of your classes, and it wasn't to learn, it was to take pictures for your classes. And then it just sort of morphed into like, once the class was over, you were like, oh, let's practice some stuff. And, you know, we went out a couple of different times, and I learned more from like 10 or 15 minutes than I had done in the whole class. And it was like, it changed the whole thing, just knowing how to like grip the gun properly, knowing how to stand. It's amazing like what that'll do for like your confidence and just being comfortable.
Yeah. And yeah, instructors, should actually care about you knowing how to do all those functions on a firearm, unload and load and show clear. I mean, oh my God. So like if we talk about like when someone hands you a gun, what's the first thing you do? Typically. So like if I had a gun with the slide closed, right? What are you going to check for?
Well, if it's empty or loaded, or you're
right.
Clear it.
Right. And so like handing someone a loaded gun is not the best course of action. Typically you should hand it to them and, they load it, or even knowing how to unload that 22 is something that he should have taught. Right.
Yeah. At least, yeah. Loading it, the very least. But
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and working yourself up to, your experience was a little bit different, right? Because you didn't have the instruction. But once people get taught, they really should just start out of the gate, fully loaded firearm, because it's completely useless unloaded, 100% still useless, even with one not in the chamber. So like, are you training all the time to grab your gun and rack the slide and get ready to pull, or no?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it wouldn't even, I don't think that's honestly something that you can do to a point where it's going to be beneficial anyways. So if you're going to carry it, you have to carry it with the ability that it's ready to go.
Yep.
And I think it's all about just getting with the proper training in the very beginning, as opposed to just trying to throw yourself into it in the middle without knowing anything. But yeah, definitely not knowing how to do things and not being prepared it kind of makes it a moot point to even have it, honestly.
100%. Because if you don't know how to use the tool, then it's worthless. Yeah. And it's neat though too. Like, I'm glad that your dad and your husband like didn't force things on you either. Do you think like, if they had been forceful, that you really even would want to, pick it up or anything?
No, not at all. And I, like even now, like I don't particularly like shooting the one that my husband carries. I just don't like how it feels. I'm not a fan, and he doesn't care as long as I know how to use it in the event that something was to happen. And it was the same way with my dad. Like we went out to the range a couple of times and he's like, here, just make sure like how it feels and everything, so you're ready. Other than that, it's not a big deal, and so that's kind of how it's always been.
Yeah, because it's a personal decision, right? Somebody can't make that decision for you to carry or to have it on you all the time. Like that's got to be you. So it's really important as gun owners too. I don't want to force my views or what I do on other people. I want to just educate them, and hopefully, they'll come along for the ride. I think that's really important.
Exactly. Yeah. And in my experience, most people just don't understand, and that's where the fear from it comes. So once they understand, then they feel a lot better.
Yeah, 100%. So what gun do you carry? I know obviously, but I want you to share what gun, and have you changed that at all? Or are you still carrying with the one that you shot or bought, that pistol?
Yeah, so the one that I carry is the same one that I bought like about 7 years ago. It's a SIG P238, shoots 380. I'm wanting to get a Walther CCP to shoot 9mm, but I can't find it currently. So I still just carry the same one that I have, but I also have a hunch that I'll even still probably stick with that one more often than not, just because I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And it's very small, so it's much easier to conceal. So, that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Walthers are great guns with the grips. And like you said back before, getting comfortable with your own gun, being able to grip different guns. But like you said, you don't like your husband's gun, right? So how important is it to find what works for you?
It's very important. I think I actually probably, had I known more when I went to go pick the one that I picked, I probably wouldn't have ended up with it. After having tried so many other things now, the extent of me picking the one that I picked was literally walked into a store and spent about 10 minutes with the guy, and he's like, this one will probably be good for you. And I was like, Okay. And here we are 7 years later. Whether it was actually the right one for me or I'm just used to it, I don't know. But that's
Or they just needed to sell a firearm at that point. It's been there a while now.
I don't know. But it worked out just fine. And I really do like it. But I think had I known more or tried other ones or had, just
Guidance,
that ability, guidance. Yeah, very true. Because it's got its quirks, but
yeah, no, and I like that gun. So for those of you that don't know, it's an all steel or all metal frame, which is great for people that like that extra weight. It is small. It has the thumb safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has a thumb safety, which honestly with Maylin, like she's trained enough, she's shot enough. She still probably could use more just like anybody, but she knows that when she grips it, she's got to have that thumb on that safety to get it depressed to make sure it comes off. And so if you're not familiar with that, you probably don't need any external safeties on your firearm, right?
Right. Yeah. If it's something that you're not used to, definitely don't go to it. But if it's, it's one thing to learn into it. It's another thing to get out of it. Like Gabe's, he doesn't, my husband, he doesn't carry one that has an external safety because he's just never liked that, never had that. And so.
Yep. That's the same way. You want to point and shoot. At least that's the level, I'm on. So how did you carry concealed before or before you met me, we'll say, versus how do you carry now? How did Kenzie make you?
So it was always in whatever bag I was carrying. It was never on my person. I never even had a holster for it until I met you, actually. I know. There had been times I had gone to like look at them, and then I just got so overwhelmed by the options that I was like, yeah. And so again, it all goes into guidance because I didn't know. And the people in stores try to help you, but they only know so much, and so now it's a little different. You got me a holster actually that fits the one that I carry. And so that was kind of the transition into then carrying it from just in my bag to on, my person essentially. And so now I've gotten to where it's not weird to me to have it physically on my body, it's a big step because for a while that was really strange.
Yeah.
So now I carry it on me. And there are times where it's still in my purse because my wardrobe doesn't always allow for that, but it's become more of a conscious effort. Like, okay, where am I going? What am I doing?
Yes.
Do I need to have it much more accessible versus, other things like just driving straight to my parents' house or, am I walking downtown? Things like that. It's always better to have it easier accessible, but, because it's not always currently possible for me, then it's, I at least have that thought process of, okay, well, where am I going? What am I doing to kind of at least help guide in that too. So.
Yeah. And at least now if it is in purse, it's at least in a holster.
And it's not zipped up in a pocket.
Yeah, we'll get there. I know you're growing and learning. For me, I'm naked without my gun. And that means if it's uncomfortable with belly band or an ankle holster or whatever, I do as much as I can because you don't know, like your parents' house, sometimes actually houses can be like the most place that you're vulnerable, right? Because you're like, I don't need it, or it doesn't need to be accessible. Those happen. But I'm so proud of you because I wanted you to share that kind of journey from where you started, where you're at, and what you learned. That's huge.
It's been a lot. It has, it's definitely learned a lot, and it's caused me to want to research more as I learn. And then, as you know, because I text you all the time, I'm like, what, is this actually true? Because people tell you things sometimes, and you're like, that doesn't sound right.
Tell me about the bullets that you learned about, the rifle bullets with that guy.
Oh, yeah. So we went to, I don't even know. I can't remember what store it was, but
you don't have to even name it. Yeah, just see what the store.
Looking for was it 223 and then and 556, and the guy was like, "Oh, well, they're completely interchangeable. It doesn't matter about any of those at all." And I was like, I don't think that's right. And because we had talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're trying to pass your vast knowledge to me, but I was like, he kept saying that, and I was like, I really don't think you're right. And then I called you afterwards. I was like, okay, you need clarification. And you're like, yeah, no, he was dumb.
It's kind of like all trucks are cars, but not all cars are trucks. So for those of you listening, 223 barrels, shoot 223. Now, if it's a 223 willed or a 556, then you can shoot 556 or 223. So, if you think about it, calibers are different. You're like, they might be numbered differently because they do different things.
Just maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. Oh God. Or, you mentioned earlier is you don't always know what people know in the shops. Most people need a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 job. Most of them are probably children or just people who grew up around guns, which is awesome. Like, I'm glad they're there. But most likely, if you start listening or reading or getting advice, you're going to know more than the people in the store. So talk about our experience together.
Oh yes, shall we?
I'll let you tell the rest of it, but I was going in with Maylin, and Maylin listened to me go back and forth because they had the Walther CCP that I wanted, but I also want a revolver to teach my students of double action being also single action. So I was looking for a revolver that actually had the external hammer, right? And you and I knew that. We had talked about it, and I was trying to choose which one to buy because I only had a budget for one. So what happened?
Oh, well, a very lovely person who didn't even actually work there.
Nope.
Like, this was just somebody in the store, like, came up and he told you that was too big of a gun for you to handle or something.
And his old lady?
Yeah, it's a lady.
His old lady.
And so honestly, it's been so long. I don't even remember what you said, but it was just like, why? No, like, don't give unwanted information like that. Like, it's wrong, first of all. Like, you don't know who or what, like, can handle. Like, you don't know what I've used before a shot, and we're, it's just unwarranted information that was wrong, first of all.
Yeah. Did I ask for advice?
No.
Mm-mm. And did he know what purpose I was shopping for a gun?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Did he know why I was trying to make the decision between two?
Nope.
No. So for all of you listening, and ladies get discriminated against more than men, but it's not uncommon for that to happen across the board. Unfortunately, gun shops are your target because they want to throw information at you, whether they're employees or not, because they know more. They can help. Here's the thing. If you're shopping for a gun and you know your skill level of recoil management, your skill level of what weight you can carry, maybe either on your body or, like you said, in your purse, you don't want a massive pistol. For me, I was going in with the purpose of, I love the Walther, wanted to carry with it, and I wanted the revolver to teach. So it wasn't something, I wasn't going to have that external hammered, 4-inch barrel revolver to stick in my pants. Okay. God. So, that's not fair. So yeah, all I said to this gentleman is that I shoot 50,000 rounds a year. I'm a firearms instructor, and he doesn't know what purpose I'm buying either one for, and to please kindly not offer his unsolicited advice.
Yep.
Yeah. You have to stand up for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think too, like, even if you don't, like, for myself going in, like, I don't know the extent and the levels of things, but if I go into a store, I've gotten to the point where I know what I'm looking for. Yeah. And so I may not know everything else, and but I at least know what I've come here for, so I can get that far. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And you've gone in, I guess you've gone in by yourself before, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty cool, right? You're at that level. So you're getting comfortable with it. But would you have gone by yourself maybe when you were first starting out?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Terrified.
Completely. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you recommend the newest person do? Maybe to learn if they don't have a Kenzie or husband that knows a lot of this stuff, and I don't know everything, and neither does he, right? We all are learning, and we'll say I don't know, but we'll find out. What would you tell someone just getting started, maybe?
I think ask questions. And I mean, because even if you go into a store and you ask somebody about something, don't just take that, as exactly. And then even maybe go to another store and ask and see what they say, ask multiple people, and then start to see kind of what's lining up. And then do your own research. You don't have to just take what they say for gospel and just go with it, and there's just like anything, there's all kinds of things on the internet. So that can get a little sketchy. Yeah. But, if you go, usually you can find people that are at least somewhat involved in, carrying or whatever, to the point where they can maybe point you towards someone too that's going to be like, hey, I've got somebody that's got the information, you can go talk to them.
Yeah. Knowing what you know now, looking back, like, okay, a lot of instructors, for example, the one I learned from, I won't even mention, but she blew her hand up with a shotgun. So that was first indicator of like, oh, good, this is who I'm learning from. However, it was necessary evil because she was the only one that had the credentials to be able to get me my certificate to teach. So credentials could mean a lot, just with the right person, and credentials could mean absolute crap with someone who literally just got the certificate and never shoots, right? So if you hadn't known me or knowing, or maybe you're going to go take another class, what are some questions or things you might look for in an instructor, to take a class?
Consistency in things that are, if I'm just like looking, say, on like social media pages and things like that, consistency. What else are they involved in? Are they just teaching classes? Are they at the range all the time practicing? Do they compete? Is this something that they're solely surrounded in, or is it just something that, they can make an extra few bucks on the weekend for, So I think that for me is a real big, even without even talking to them directly, that's can be something that just shows you like, okay, well, this is their life. Like, you're going to know a whole lot more than, that person over there who just really has no social media about it. You don't have ever heard of them before, anything like that. And then it's like, oh, they teach a class. Cool. I'm going to go do that one.
Yeah.
Maybe not, so.
Did you ask maybe what target you'll be shooting at and how many rounds and what gun?
Probably, yeah. Find out like what you should bring, shouldn't bring. Like for the class that I went to, that really wasn't a class. It was just show up. We'll have everything you need, and which, while that's not necessarily a bad thing, having what you need is a lot more than one round in a gun that you don't get to unload or load, and shoot one time in a little bitty trailer. Like, that's not the purpose of carrying. That's not how something is going to go down. Like,
Red flag.
Exactly. And so, my grandma, she had taken a class, and I think she had to shoot 75 rounds out of the gun that she was going to be carrying in order.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So there's some different things that are very important for sure.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, and I even honestly at the time I wasn't even 100% sure I wanted to carry.
Yep.
So I think, what's your motivation for it? Like, don't just do it to do it. Like, have a reason behind it, and that's going to encourage you to make sure that you found somebody good.
Yeah, absolutely. And how awesome is it that you got it done so you have it when you need it rather than needing it or wanting it and not having it, right?
Yeah. It's a level of preparedness that's just there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So switching gears, I'm glad you talked about all of those things, and we laughed, but that's a nightmare. That's like, I laugh as like, I'm in fear.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I roped you in. Competitive shooting. And again, I think at that time it's kind of like this episode. No, but I'll do it.
Kinda. Yeah. That was where we showed up with that. And I think you actually had been asking me for 6 to 8 months or something. Like, and you're like, come on, let's do it. Come on, sign up for this one. I was like,
Yep. And I don't know how I convinced you, but so for all of you listening, we went to a CQB match, so close quarters combat, and it had a rifle division, a PCC, a rimfire, and AK, which was really cool. And it was just 2 on Brown, so kind of like a 3-gun. But anyways, how did I rope you into that?
I think ladies shot free for that.
That's right.
So I was like, I don't have to pay for it. Okay.
That's Nick Brandt. Nick, if you're listening or when you listen to this podcast, thank you, sir. I got Maylin there. Hey, but that's a great incentive because, I want to say, I know Morgan shot. Oh, how many other females, or did we see any other females that shot?
I remember I saw Morgan and then maybe 2 or 3 others. Not many.
No. So it definitely helps if you want those lady shooters. And out there is to, well, one, make it free. No, you don't always have to do that. Two, have those friends try and bring them in, right? That's really, really important. It's not just females too, but like, can you imagine if every person that shot competitively or, got comfortable with a firearm brought one person? That's an exponential growth.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge.
Massive, actually.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we go to the match, and you shot rifle and PCC, 2 divisions or 3?
No, 3.
Okay, 3. Yeah, we were day one. Day one. Tell me about day one.
Oh boy. So yeah, that was interesting. Did it rain day one? I think it rained day one.
Pouring rain. Yep, that was when I fell with the white rifle.
Yeah. So I think I don't know if you went first or I had gone first. I can't remember. But it was the first stage ever. It was with the rifle. And I think the only thing I remember thinking was just don't fall.
Yeah.
That was it. Don't fall. Like, and then you were like, all right, are you ready? And I said, nope. And he said, are you ready? And I said, nope. And you're like, we can't start until you say yes. So I was like, okay, well, let's do this then. And so kind of ran through that. And by the time we came to the end of the day, it was a little, well, we were soaked.
Yeah.
But it was it kind of transitioned from that, okay, like just don't fall to, okay, what targets have I counted, what have I got, like where am I, and so like kind of transitioned into this don't fall, don't DQ, but hit all the targets and get to the end. Like,
higher goals.
So I like added some goals as I went, as opposed to just don't fall.
And what was your one goal?
Yeah, so I've got 2 actually. Every time I go to a match, it's don't come in last and learn something new. So,
and that's better than don't DQ for all you listening. Yeah, we don't want to DQ, but that's not like a goal you should have. Yeah, learn. Oh my God, you learned a crap ton. So you shot rifle. What did you feel, or like, what did you realize maybe about yourself from like the very start to like the end of that match day?
Well, honestly, that I'm capable of a lot more than I thought I was. Because I'd never pictured myself doing anything like that, especially after like watching videos of like you doing it and then other people, because like I tried to immerse myself a little bit into what this was going to be like, and I watched different videos of people shooting. Some of them did great and some of them did not, and I was like, well, we're just going to see what happens. And so but I got I think what addicted was the word I used by the end of it.
Yeah.
A little addicted. It's a lot of fun.
It was. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you did that. So, okay. You got through the rifle portion, didn't fall, but who did fall?
Kenzie.
So embarrassing. But leading up to that, I forgot that part. Leading up to it, what did we do at your house before we ever even went to the competition? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, we set up targets and dry fired for hours. I mean, you did it some with me, but I did it a lot while you weren't here. So that helped a lot, just knowing kind of how to move, because you don't learn that in any concealed carry class, first of all. No. So this is a whole nother level, and so like just learning how to move, hold the rifle, like your feet and like where you're standing and how you're moving your feet and when and all that definitely helped. And I kind of attribute that to not falling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely important.
And you watch videos, and I also went through range commands, right?
Yes, a lot of those.
Yeah, because those are important to know. They should be consistent across matches, by the way. Not all ROs do that, but you knew the basics. So that was good. So yeah, we dry fired before Maylin showed up. We went over rules and tried. There's a lot of rules. I don't think we did this, but a lot of people should read the rule book before. I think I sent you, at least for USPSA when we did that match, where to find that, but read the rule book front to back, or have someone that can give you the highlight reel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely important.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot more rules than you would kind of expect, depending on which match it is and everything. But
yeah, because it's like an outlaw style. Run what you got, have fun. So then PCC was our second. Yeah.
Second,
PCC.
yeah.
Well, what did you think of PCC?
So that one was a lot more comfortable. One, I think, because I'd already gone through a match with the rifle, and then, but I've always just enjoyed shooting that. So it was like, yay, I get to have this one now.
Fun gun. Yeah.
And so that one was a lot more just because I was a little bit more comfortable with it in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was kind of fun too.
Yeah. And then rimfire was a lot of fun. 22 is fun when it doesn't jam, but yeah, we had better days, better weather too.
Yeah. I mean, it rained the whole time. I think at one point you couldn't even see, I don't remember what it's called, the little barriers you have to be in and whatnot.
Oh, the fault
like,
lines.
fault lines, yeah, like standing in a swamp, basically. And you have to like find it with your feet to make sure you're there. And, the shooting the rimfire was fun though, because it was a chance to kind of figure out, be a little bit more, when it didn't jam, be a little bit more strategic, because it wasn't quite as, it's a calmer one. So it's instead of like thinking, okay, about like recoil and things like that, you can think about more focusing on the counting of whatnot and making sure you're not missing things and stuff. So
yeah, it's a really fun, much faster. Did you shoot the AK? Did I force you to shoot the AK?
Yeah, I did that a couple times.
Okay. All right. What was I don't know if you remember, so you might not, but I'm going to phrase it. Do you remember the one thing that I tell people when it comes to if someone offers you a gun, what do you say?
Yes.
Yeah, you say the word yes. Yeah.
Yes,
so
you say yes.
You weren't quite there. Maybe you were. I can't remember. Did I say like, what do you say to shooting this?
You just say yes. And then you're like, right, yep, come here. I was like, okay.
Do you remember how different like the AK was from your rifles? Do you remember like the difference in safety or magazine or anything like that?
Not without having them like visually in front of me.
Yeah.
But that one was fun though too. But however, shooting that one, I think because with the guys where I think we're using that one in like one of their actual matches, and we just kind of jumped in and shot it like a couple of times. It was a lot less stressful.
Yeah, we didn't have the ammo. We didn't have the gun. We're just like, we'll try it.
Why not? Now I can say I did it. Right.
100%. And so, yeah, AKs have a little bit longer like safety bar, and then their magazines, but we didn't have to reload in that match. It was all like we had enough capacity, and we had the drum. I think we had the drum. Anyways, it's like a banana style magazine, but now you've shot 4 new guns in one weekend.
Yep. 2 days, actually. It was 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. So how did you feel after the match?
Outside of being flat exhausted, I felt really good. Like I was ready to do it again. Honestly, like it's so much fun because it's not just, you go out and you shoot some targets and that's the end of it. Like, yeah, there's a competitiveness to it. You want to be good at it, but at the same time, like you just hang out with some great people at the same time. And so you're hanging out with cool people and you get to shoot guns. Like, is there really much anything better? Like,
exactly.
And so it's just a cool place to be, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. Did you learn something about yourself from competing?
I don't know. I think I learned that I'm really, really competitive. Probably more so, but it's kind of cool specifically with those sorts of competitions and matches and things, because since I'm not like striving to be 100%, I'm just striving to learn more things. And, my goal is not to come out of it with having been number one, because there's some awesome people out there. Like, and I mean, maybe I could get to that, but I'm not willing to like put all of that into, to do that. And so when I go, I get to be competitive and I get to try really hard and I get to learn new things. And every time I've gotten a little bit better. And so it's, building that confidence and, kind of no matter how well you do, you still won something in a way, So
you took away wins from that match for sure. I guess, did that surprise you about competitive shooting? Like, did you think that like from the start that all would happen by the end?
No. I mean, I think, like I knew that you did it. I knew that you went out and did it, but I think there's kind of almost just this stigma maybe about it, that it's just like a bunch of old dudes that go out and shoot guns. Like, what didn't think that it would be, first of all, people around my age and, yes, older, younger, like there's this whole group of people. But it's kind of a shocking group to be a part of that you don't expect. And then you get involved in it and you're like, yeah, this is awesome.
Oh yeah, 100%. Actually, and I'll skip around questions. What do you do for a living? And the reason I ask that is because, like you said, you're surprised at like who's shooting, right? So what do you do for a living?
Well, now I'm an office assistant at my church.
Yeah.
And before that, I was a full-time baker at
Yeah.
a bakery. So
Yeah, absolutely. And your bakery, and I don't know about your church, but your bakery is really supportive of you going to the match.
Oh yeah, and churches too. Like, we actually brought one of my pastors out one time and taught him how to hold the gun properly and shoot and all that to the range. So that was cool.
That was a good day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter they what people look like or where they come or what backgrounds. I don't look at Maylin. I'm like, oh, she's gonna crush people's souls, but she can shoot. So here's a fun thing. We went out to the range, and I can't remember if it was before competition. It was before competition.
No, it was months before. This started you pushing me to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you remember the distance you shot with my rifle on day one of shooting this rifle?
I don't, but I think you do.
600 yards, folks. 600 yards. I was pissed because mentally right shooters typically are going to get in their head. They're like, oh my God, that's far. Or maybe like, I haven't seen that in a while. Do I even know how to hold for 600 yards? And so for like this shiny new person, Maylin, she's just like, what'd you say? Is this supposed to be hard? It's mental, right? So you were just like, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you remember the distance for the PCC that you shot?
Oh,
150 yards. 150. Yeah. I was like, great, cool. So yeah, and that was with a red dot. So the PCC had the red dot. And then of course we had the scope for the rifle, but really cool.
And that's when you turned to me and go, you're coming with me to one of these matches one of these days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're right. Yep. I told you were wrong in the moment. I was like, no, it's not gonna happen. You're like, yes, it is.
It is. And we shot, okay, so then that was late August, and then we shot October. So we signed up for the end of the summer blast. And so we're going from CQB to USPSA, which is a little bit more rules focused. And you shot PCC. Mm-hmm. What did you think of that match overall with those stages?
Well, so I think it was a little bit more intimidating just knowing that it's stricter, there's more rules, which isn't a bad thing. You just have to know them, and I was still learning them.
Yeah.
And then was it stage 2 that my gun broke and we had to go find another one?
Yes. Wow. That's awesome though, because what did that tell you about the community when you found a loaner gun for the whole match? Like,
I mean, that's just incredible because he wasn't on our squad. He was just like somebody that you knew and ran down, and you're like, hey, and he's like, yeah, it's in my car, go grab it. We were like, what?
That's Mr. T, Tana. So if you know him, he is absolutely amazing, really positive guy. And he had a spare PCC, and I think it was like brandish new. Anyways, we didn't break it. We didn't break that one.
Didn't break it. It lasted the whole rest of the match. It was just Kenzie's that broke.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun though. So yeah, so you got this random rifle. What was your favorite stage of that match? Do you remember?
I do. And you're gonna think I'm crazy. There was one that had like this rocking bridge on it. And now I hated it, but it was my favorite because it like added this weird challenge. Yep. It was like, okay, I'm gonna stand on a rocking, moving bridge and I'm gonna shoot things. Like, who does that? Right? Like, that was just cool. I don't know.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Drew. That was really cool. I mean, and people struggled because you had to actually shoot on the bridge through like square ports at targets, walk down to the end, and there's two far left, far right. So you had to get to the very end of the bridge without eating crap.
Yep. And it had rained, of course, because Kenzie was there, and it was, so it was wet, and it was a whole thing.
Yep. What shoes did we learn to use?
Cleats. Cleats are your best friend.
Oh man, that was so fun. So without me forcing you, here's a question. Would you sign up to shoot another match again?
Yes, I would. I think it's easy to just not do it again because it's not like my goal in life to go shoot on these matches, so it gets busy and things like that. But because once you get there, it's just so exciting, and so it's like it's ready to go back and ready to do it again. And I would definitely go back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then talk a little bit, going back, I guess, with getting your mom involved. That was pretty emotional, which is amazing. So do you want to talk about that experience of getting her out to Ladies' Day and what happened there?
Yeah, we can. So she like had kind of grown up around guns, wasn't really super involved with them. And I mean, I did too. We knew about them. Nobody was against them. We didn't have them really in the house. And so she came out to the first Ladies' Day, or maybe it was the second one you had. I can't remember. But she came out and she didn't really want to shoot much of anything. But I know Ryan had come out and he brought 22, so she started with that. And it was just this kind of emotional process of her getting used to it and being comfortable with it. And it was really cool to not only see her shoot, but to see her shoot well. Yeah. And then it was another Ladies' Day. She actually brought a friend of hers out. And so, like this process of just like teaching and guiding and bringing new people. And so
that was really cool. I mean, and like mother, like daughter, Maylin can shoot, guys. Maylin can shoot. That was fun to watch. So I'm excited to see your progress. And like you said, even if it's not your everyday, gotta have it, gotta do it, get super competitive. You take your time, you get your hits, and you have fun. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And you don't get in your head about it, which most competitors, the mental game is everything. So we get in our head, we get fearful, like we think that we can't do things, and we just bring stuff.
I mean, yeah, it changes it a little bit if you're just going to have fun versus like, trying to get top space and whatnot. But yeah, it's worth it. I think it's worth going at least once.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What did your family think about you shooting the competition, or did you show them the videos afterwards?
Yeah, I did. So I think, was it my brother said, oh, that's strange. Okay. Oh, that's cool. And then I think my mom said it was kind of weird. And then, which this was before she had come to all the ladies' days and everything too. Yeah. And then my dad was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. So, it's definitely like, it's a supportive group for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had Gabe, again, your husband, pasting, resetting, and scoring in the rain for us.
Oh, and he wasn't even shooting. He was just there to hang out. Like, he was not competing. He just was score. Yeah. But he knows how to score and everything. It's great.
Yeah. And it was really cool most of the time. And I'm, I'm trying not to be offensive on my show at all, but like most of the time, like women will come out. So girlfriends, wives, what have you, will be on the range, and I'll talk to them and be like, do you shoot too? Or how do I get you out here, actually competing? And they'll come and support. So it's like probably the first time in a really long time that a guy, like a husband, or, like I don't see boyfriends coming all the time. So for Gabe to be there to be supportive of you was so amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and he said, he's like, I don't have any interest in competing. No. He's like, I don't want to do that. He's like, I'm just here for you. Yeah. So it was really cool. Yeah.
100%. And, husbands, wives, whatever, spouses or partners, they don't have to have the same hobbies. You can have your own thing to do.
Yeah. Just be supportive.
That was awesome. We have to talk about the range snacks situation.
Of course.
I did this with Andy too. So Andy's our other buddy that we shoot with a lot at Dothan. He'll be on the squad with our pickle squad. So, this is not rapid fire, but rapid fire-ish. So regular or spicy pickles?
Spicy.
So you like the whole pickles or the sliced pickles?
Whole pickles. Absolutely.
Now, are we going jumbo or are we going to those miniature ones?
No, jumbo ones. The miniature ones.
The same thing. Yeah. This is the most important. Mount Olive or Vlasic?
I mean, both. I don't really discriminate.
I love that answer. Love that answer. So yeah, pickles are wonderful. We have to have those. What other range snacks do you have out there?
I usually always have Gatorade and Cheez-Its.
Heck yeah, Cheez-Its. Oh yeah, so good. So
good combo of pickles.
Absolutely. Wrapping all of this up, I guess. Could you imagine, like, I guess where you are now? Like, I guess back in if you told yourself, a younger age that, you would be competing and carrying on your body and all of this stuff, would you have believed it?
No, I'd have told whoever said that they were crazy.
Yeah. But for other people, what would you give them, like one piece of advice from, again, and the reason I wanted to have you on, which is so amazing, is just to have that new person perspective of competing, but also someone who has learned so much. What would you have done like differently or advise someone, from the start?
With competing or carrying or both or
Probably anything. Yeah.
anything?
Say both.
I think it probably just would go back to asking questions, and not being afraid to get involved. Because really it is, especially within like the competition side, there's such a good community of people that really just want you to do better, and so it's like, even though you're there and you're on a squad and you're technically all competing against each other, like you're still there for each other. And so, I'm always there as like the newbie and I'm learning, and but it's cool still to see people who want to help you learn the rules. So, you're doing it properly and you're gaining experience and knowledge, and because there's that respect that goes along with it. They'll help you when it's your time. And then when they're ready to step up and go, you just let them do their thing. And so it's like, you all still get to have, the experience at the level that you can have.
Yeah.
And so just don't be afraid of it and go with a friend, because it's just a blast anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. So how has all of the shooting stuff maybe like made you a better person, or what has it taught you that maybe helps you in everyday life? Any lessons?
It's taught me a little bit more patience overall, I think. And it's taught me to believe in myself a little bit more, because there's things that I never thought I could do that I can do. But it helps a lot. Competition wise, it's helped with just my confidence to carry, because it's like, if I can hold a rifle and I can run in the rain doing all these different things, I can carry something on my body to protect myself. And which is none of which I thought I could ever do anyway, but it's true. And it's just really cool to have seen the growth, and just knowing that now when I see people, I go to the range, I can see whether or not they're holding the gun properly. And, there's been a couple of times where I've stepped in and I've said, hey, I can show you a trick that will help, and been able to show them, women specifically, how to properly grip, what they're trying to use. And it's to see that change for them. I went to the range one time and I saw a girl, she shot the first time and she almost dropped it because she wasn't holding it properly. And she had 4 or 5 other people with her, all shooting properly, holding the grip, but nobody was showing her how to do it. And so, to be able to jump in there and say, hey, I can help you with that, is just really cool. Like, I don't know all of these things and whatnot. You don't have to know everything, but, just to know those basics, to be able to kind of share that along. And it's really, really cool. It's cool to be able to do that.
100%. I think there's a lot of people that do the wrong thing, or like approach the wrong way, right? A lot of people do like, oh, let me show you, you're not doing that right. And it's like very condescending, or it's very rude. And then they're probably never going to come back.
Exactly.
So when you can be a little bit more helpful with people and say, hey, do you want me to show you something, or do you mind? A little bit differently. And again, it just sucks when their friends are there and then you would have to be the person that comes in and helps, which is really cool that you did that. But yeah, if we can impart knowledge, again, I'm not a pro shooter and I teach, but I can teach fundamentals and basics, right? So if you can do the same thing, why not share that wisdom with other people?
Right. Yeah. And just making people feel comfortable. I've talked to a lot of different people that, that kind of want to be able to carry, or even just have one in their house and feel like they can protect themselves, but have no idea where to start and no idea that it's not as scary as it seems, and so we'll go out to the range and I'll show them how to properly stand and to hold it, and they'll shoot a few rounds and they'll go, okay, yeah, I can do this. And that's just really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to start. Doesn't matter what it is. Anything new is scary.
For sure.
Just added guns and everything else, that's a little bit more intimidating, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, love it. Well, Maylin, any other final tips, nuggets, or thoughts that you want to leave people with?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Do you want to tell people how to connect with you or follow you on social media if they have questions?
I mean, yeah, it's easy. It's just my name, Maylin Thompson. Yeah, I'm not cool enough like Kenzie to have a whole extra page.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's just MayoB14.
AOB 14. She's got some cool pictures and videos from what she has done and learned, which is fun to watch. Check her out for sure. Oh man, Maylin, thanks for being on the show. See, I'm glad you're
of course. See, yeah, it's been good.
That's awesome. Thanks again. So if you're listening, be sure to subscribe, follow, rate, review the podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.